Inside baseball or radio. I'm Jeff Stein with today's Iowa Politics Report. Now, this is usually a time when I comment on something happening in the news, but it's also a good chance to update you on things happening at KXEL. So that's the topic again today. You've heard that there are only 2 weeks left of the Best of Rush Limbaugh program. The company that distributes that show to stations like ours says it will end on June 18th. We will begin airing the Glenn Beck program in Rush's time slot beginning 2 weeks from today. You've also heard that there will be a new show with Clay Travis and Buck Sexton on instead of Rush on many of the Limbaugh stations. And some of you have asked why we are not airing that. Well, here's the answer. First, let's talk about EIB. There is no EIB network beyond Rush's shows. Now, you may have heard in interviews he said it was just a name he came up with at the beginning to make the show sound bigger. Great marketing move on his part. So this new show is not part of EIB. EIB will be going away because all of EIB was Rush and Rush was all of EIB. In reality, Rush's program, along with Hannity, Sexton, Beck, and others, those are all owned and distributed to stations by a company called Premier Networks. They're the ones who decided when the Best of Rush each day with guide hosts would end and when the Travis Sexton show would begin. Now, Premier Networks is owned by iHeartMedia, which owns nearly 900 radio stations in the U.S., including some news talk stations in Iowa, in particular one in Cedar Rapids and one in Des Moines. Premier will not allow KXEL to air the Travis Sexton show because, you see, we'd be competing with the stations they own that will air the show. Now, we were able to continue airing Rush despite that same conflict because we had been a Rush station before iHeart bought Premier Networks, grandfathered in, if you will. So that's the answer to a question several of you have emailed me about. The company producing that new show does not want us competing with the stations they own. You see, radio is a business after all. And that's the Iowa Politics Report for Monday, June 7 on Twitter, Instagram, and Parler at Iowa Politics. I'm Jeff Stein on News Talk 1540 KXEL.